32, nothing 12, looking at 2300 with colors, the same as female Hispanic, and she had stabbed by her boyfriend and hung up. That is the first floor front.
There were more than 100 Chicago area fugitives charged with crimes and then fled the area.
He was let out on the water was contaminated with vinyl chloride and these other chemicals. Cancer rates in Crestwood are significantly elevated.
Did the investigation, we pulled the records, and then that resulted in criminal charges. Because if we're not here, no one else is going to do it. On December 9th, 2008, our readers woke up and they saw a story on the front page about the bankruptcy of Tribune Company, and suddenly we were pondering the question of whether we would exist in the future. That same day, we also carried a story about the federal investigation of Governor Rod Blagojevich and his alleged effort to sell the Senate seat vacated by Barack Obama. We had to solve our economic problems in order for us to do that kind of reporting. That really brought our mission into focus, and that mission was to be the watchdog. We stand up for the community. This is the thing that is the most difficult kind of reporting, because what we're trying to do is to tell people what others don't want them to know.
Village leaders supplemented their water supplies for more than 20 years with a well they knew was tainted with cancer-causing chemicals.
A few years ago, we discovered that the community of Crestwood had been pumping water to its residents from a contaminated well.
Water was contaminated with vinyl chloride and these other chemicals.
Officials here continue to draw water from a tainted well, even after the Illinois EPA told them back in 1986 that it was contaminated with toxic chemicals related to a dry cleaning solvent.
Last year, the Illinois Department of Public Health found that cancer rates in Crestwood are significantly elevated.
They were warned by the state. It was completely irresponsible, if not criminal, for them to do that. We did the investigation, we pulled the records, and then that resulted in criminal charges. It resulted in state reforms.
You lie to the Illinois EPA about toxic air or water pollution, you could go to jail.
So it had a very specific meaning to the people of Crestwood, but it resulted in changes that will affect and protect the people across the state. Fortunately, most people want to do good. Most people care about the quality of life in their communities. Most people are honest. But as long as there have been human beings on this earth, people have been motivated by self-interest and greed, and unfortunately there's a lot of that out there, and it's crucial for us to be on the side of the scale that tries to end those things.
Gary and I have both spent a lot of time in the criminal courts in Chicago. We've just seen time and time again how easily and how often somebody charged with a heinous crime, with rape, with murder, with violence against a child, can simply disappear.
32, nothing 12, looking at a person stabbed 2300 with color to seen a female Hispanic, saying she had been stabbed by her boyfriend.
Alma Chavez, it was just another tragic case. She sort of spurned the advances of Raul Andrade Tolentino. She wanted to break off their relationship. He got enraged and allegedly stabbed her to death. Mr. Tolentino was arrested. He was let out on bond, and then he fled the country.
Marks and Jackson pulled records to reveal that there were more than 100 Chicago area fugitives.
Law enforcement had an idea of where many of these fugitives were. That was the sort of stunning thing to us, that early on in the process, often days, weeks, or months after, say, a homicide or a rape, somebody came forward to law enforcement and had an exact town, in some cases even an exact address of where the fugitive was located. Yet years and sometimes decades passed in which the fugitive was allowed to remain free.
So Gary and David went to Mexico, and within a few days had found, I think, 8 out of 9 that they were searching for. Went up and knocked on doors, found them, discovered that they had gone back to their hometowns and they were living openly because there was not the organization or the will to bring them back to justice. So we wrote the series about it and continued to report on it. I think Alma Chavez was the latest one. There have been a number of others that have been apprehended and brought back since then, identifying a problem and showing what should be done to make it right. And only the Chicago Tribune did that. The law enforcement agencies did not do that. To not only just tell you what a problem is, but to actually go solve it. It's the reason why we chose to go do this work in the first place. And that's the reason that the Chicago Tribune really exists.